Ahmed with an overview of the Smart Transportation Technology Workshop. Dr. April Lovelady will then address barriers to technology transfer at HBCUs and MSIs. And Dr. Kamil Kaloush will conclude with sustainable approaches for creating climate resilient asphalt pavements. Together, these presentations aim to advance workforce readiness and promote sustainable infrastructure. As our speakers present, please feel free to put your questions in the Q&A for our speakers to answer at the end of the session. To get started, I invite Dr. Charles Gurganus to the stage to get his presentation ready. Charles serves as the Pavement Management Program Manager in TTI's Materials and Pavements Division. Charles also serves as the Deputy Director for the Center for Infrastructure Renewal. His research interests are in infrastructure and asset management, pavement forensics, non-destructive testing, roadway rehabilitation techniques, and heavy highway construction. Charles came to TTI in 2014, and after nearly a decade of roadway industry experience, most of which was gained with the Texas Department of Transportation, Charles' final position at TxDOT was the Longview area engineer in the Tyler district. Charles earned his BS, MS, and PhD in civil engineering from Texas A&M University. He is a registered professional engineer in Texas and Missouri. Take it away, Charles.
Thanks, Marshall. That was a mouthful. I should have cut that down. Thank you for that, though. So I'm going to visit with you about something we're building here in Texas called the Highway Construction Workforce Partnership with the goal of creating the next generation highway worker. And so I'm going to introduce a little bit of kind of the needs of what we saw in the industry and how we got to where we are right now. So let me figure out how to advance this. Oh, I'm sorry. Try this way.
Charles, if you hover over your screen to the bottom left of your presentation, you should see some buttons kind of highlight to go to the next slide. Do you see that?
Let me see. I don't, but I'm wondering.
I had to click right in that area when I did mine. So when you're down in that left-hand corner, click, and then it popped up for me.
So does it not advance from presentation mode? I am so sorry. I'll make up the time, I promise.
Are you there? You see? Okay, you should be able to see it there. Where you were just now, the functions to move your slide were there. There you go.
That's it. Okay. Sorry about that, everybody.
No worries. Yeah. Thank you, Charles.
So what are the highway workforce needs? Well, a couple of things just to point out, kind of nationally speaking, the Everyday Counts Initiative, Section 7 Innovation talks about strategic workforce development. And then there was a 2021 national survey by the AGC where 89% of construction firms reported difficulty in finding qualified workers. What you're going to see as we move through this, you'll see that we've developed a partnership with the Texas Asphalt Pavement Association, and there's been reasons that we've done that, and I'll kind of explore those a bit. And then just kind of from maybe a demand perspective in what's out there, we're all familiar with the ASCE report card and the needs that our infrastructure has, and then the needs that both roadway and bridges have in terms of need of work to maintain the system and advance the system. So our overall goal here as part of the Highway Workforce Partnership in the Bryan College Station area, and you'll hear me refer to it as the Brazos Valley, was to create a training program to introduce participants to the heavy highway industry. And we ended up partnering with TxAPA. And so our program certainly has a slant in the asphalt paving and asphalt production industry. And the goal is to produce participants with knowledge of the industry, but give them a career focus. and let them know that if we get them off on the right foot, they can enter our industry in a career path with potentially high wage potential. And we want to, we want to create someone coming out of this program that is a step ahead of what the person just hiring off the street would be. And what we also had a focus of here in the Brazos Valley was to target a rural poor population. And the reason for that is because if you look at the counties that are part of TxDOT's Bryan district, you will see all of those counties in red have a poverty level above the state average. And so we have 7 of the 10 counties with poverty levels above the state average. So this could truly be like a life-changing event for them where we could get them in and get them in a career high wage potential. So then it might be, well, why partner with the asphalt paving and production industry? Well, the truth is our industry is built on relationships, and I do have relationships with many of these contractors from my time in industry. So certainly that made the initial phone call easier. But the other things that we have is that 90% of TxDOT's network is asphalt concrete. TxDOT, you heard Darren in the keynote mention that TxDOT has about 90,000 miles of pavement, and he's referencing centerline miles of pavement there. When you convert that to lane miles, we're up over around 180,000 lane miles. 90% of that network is asphalt concrete. And then you tag that on with the, especially in Texas, the funding that is expected over the next 10 years. And we have both a demand and a supply that we can feed into and help grow this program. So then a little bit too on TxAPA. So the Texas Asphalt Pavement Association, they've been a great industry partner. They represent the asphalt paving and production industry in the state of Texas. They are a trade organization, but they are a nonprofit. And this became important as TTI started to build its partnership with Blinn, because we needed an entity like Blinn, a community college that had this background in workforce development programs. And Blinn had a structure called its corporate college framework. And that allows us to tailor a curriculum around what sometimes could be a corporation, but for us, it was a trade organization. It was TxAPA. TxAPA has also been very generous, both to our program and just across the state through their scholarship program with over $816,000 raised. So they give a lot of money away each year, and they actually scholarshiped every participant in our first cohort so that the program was fee-free to those participants. But we kind of had to figure out where to get started, because I had this idea and then I didn't really know exactly where to go. And we initially partnered and continue to partner with the Texas Department of Transportation and their Connect You to Jobs program. That is a funding opportunity that flows through its Civil Rights Division. And they also have a program in the DFW area that targets justice-involved participants. So our focus target audience is rural poor population. Up there, they're looking at a population that has justice involved. But they were able to provide us with initial seed funding to get the program going. And we've taken what I think what you would hear in literature referred to as kind of a fast and frugal approach to this, where industry is telling us there's a need, and we want to jump in and try something, and we want to learn from it. So we identify, we create what we think is the solution, we deploy it, and then we go back through that same iteration process again. And so we've done this twice now. We've created and delivered 2 cohorts. The first thing was to create a unique program, and we wanted it to be industry driven, thus the corporate college framework and the use of TxAPA. I have this belief that other skilled trades receive hands-on experience in their training programs. The truth is that I think that welding and plumbing and electrician and HVAC, I think they have phenomenal trade programs that are out there, and I think they're kicking the heavy highway industry's tail. And so we wanted to begin creating programs to bring people into our industry and give them those types of skills. So we knew, though, that, the audience being people that weren't thinking about going to college was not something that they thought they wanted to do, or maybe could do. And so we knew that we needed to think about how we delivered it, kind of this balance between classroom and field experience. So we built something that's kind of a 50-50 split. And we know that to maintain this program in perpetuity, that we have to have a fee-based program. Now, as I mentioned already, TexAPA scholarshiped every participant in cohort number 1, and the Insight UTC scholarshiped every participant in cohort number 2. And we've also explored opportunities to make it fee-free through workforce development boards, through industry sponsorships, and as well as looking at some veteran opportunities. So it needs to be a fee-based program so that it can survive in perpetuity. But we want to make it fee-free as much as we can, obviously, to bring in the participants that maybe couldn't afford to do it if fee was required on the front end. So we deployed iteration number 1 in summer and into fall of October of 2023. It was a 240 contact hour program. And when we first did it, it was a 15-week program. We were thinking 15 weeks, 4 days per week with a float day on Friday, 4 hours per day. That would allow our participants to have part-time jobs in the afternoon. And it actually turns out that TxDOT Bryan District worked with us and was able to provide many of our participants internships. And so that's what they were able to go do in the afternoon. We ended up with 7 enrollees. We only ended up with 5 graduates. One, there was a drug testing issue. The other just stopped coming with 2 weeks remaining in class. All 5 did accept jobs in the heavy highway industry. 4 remain employed in the industry. And I would say that Knife River has hired one young lady out of that program, and she is doing phenomenal in their asphalt production side of things. So her name is Cameron Carter. Identifying lessons learned. We need to over recruit, but we don't need to do it too early. And the reason for that is especially if your target audience is high school kids that were not thinking about going to college, recruiting them in January for something that doesn't start until June, it hasn't even crossed their mind yet. And so we've kind of understand that time frame about when to recruit. Industry has told us drug testing is a thing. It has to be part of what we do. We can't put people on heavy equipment unless we drug test. We have to make sure our participants are accountable in some way, especially when it's fee-free. Industry said, hey, 15 weeks is a long time. The 4-hour-a-day thing has its positives and negatives. Obviously, the positive is they can have a part-time job. The negative is that it requires a 15-week program. And then we had some other things we had to get over in terms of lining up the equipment and lining up the expertise. So we did iteration number 2, and we changed some things. We did this over the course of this last summer in 2024. We changed it to a 6-week program, 5 days per week at 8 hours a day. It's still the 240 contact hours, but now our participants get full days on pieces of equipment. What they come out with is OSHA 10 certification, flagger certification, work zone traffic control certification, 12 hours on a skid steer, approximately 8 to 12 hours on a front end loader. And then we get them hands-on paving experience as well. We also get them the TexAPA level 1B trainings to be a field technician, and the level 1A training to be a laboratory technician. For this iteration, we had 12 enrollees and 11 graduates. 2 of those were sponsored by industry. 10 were at large. We did not have any drug testing failures this time. You can see there are demographics there. We were kind of split evenly between the European ancestry and Hispanic ancestry. And then we had 1 mixed race individual. So 4 are actively looking. We did have 1 accepted position with Vulcan. 2 did internships, and then 2 returned to their employer sponsor. So we're trying to think about how we move this forward and what our target audience is. We are looking at ways to recruit an older audience, whether that be veterans that are coming out of the military, or whether that would be folks that want to change careers, maybe move out of something that they don't see as a career, they just see it as a job, and into what could become a career. Industry says they like cohort number 2. They like the 6-week structure. We've got to do a little bit better job of getting potential employers plugged in sooner to get these people placed. One of the other challenges we have is when you recruit 18 to 20-year-olds local to the Brazos Valley, industry says, yes, we can place that person, but we might need them to move to Austin or Abilene or Odessa. That can be a tall order for an 18 to 20-year-old. And so we're working through figuring out how to recruit people that would be willing to go statewide, because industry has told us we can place every participant. We just can't place every participant, in a 50-mile radius of Bryan College Station. And so we're trying to figure out those things. We're also trying to figure out equipment availability and expertise, kind of who owns the equipment and who owns the expertise. My TTI certainly has a lot of expertise. We don't lay hot mix for a living. And so we don't own a laydown machine. And we've got great partnerships with equipment manufacturers and local contractors that have really helped make this thing go. But we have to start formalizing that structure so that we can grow this program. We're looking at doing iteration number 3 on April 7th, 2025. It's going to be the same 6-week program and 5 days per week, 8 hours a day. The only thing we're adding to it that's going to be a little bit different than cohort number 2 is we're going to add a half a day of first aid training in there. This came up, especially it's going to be associated with heat-related, working in a heat-related environment, because obviously that's something we deal with when we're laying asphalt paving. So here's my information. I unfortunately can't hang around for the Q&A. I have to run off to a lecture. But if you would like to get in touch with me, there's my cell phone number along with my email if you'd like to discuss the program more. So I'm going to try to keep you on time, Marshall, and throw it back to you.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Gurganus. If you do have questions for Dr. Gurganus, put them in the Q&A and I will make sure he gets those. Dr. Ahmed is next. He's an associate professor in the Department of Computer Science at Prairie View A&M. His research interests are in the fields of artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, and data science. He is actively involved in 9 research projects funded by various federal agencies and industry, including NSF, USDA, DOT, Army, both DOD and DARPA, and Bechtel Corporation, with a total value of $4.25 million. He published 35 peer-reviewed papers at prestigious journals and conferences. He mentored numerous undergraduate and graduate students in conducting research. He established a vast network of research collaborations at the campus, national, and international levels. Take it away.
So can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see it. It's not in presentation mode. It's in, we can see the slides down the left.
All right.
There you go. Oh,
all right. So if we go like this.
Yes.
And then, can you see now in presentation mode?
Yes, we can.
All right. Thanks, Marshall, for this nice introduction. My voice is full. Thank you very much for that. So today, folks, I'm going to talk about our interesting project, Smart Transportation Technology Workshop. This project, how I can.
If you hover over the bottom left, and I think if you click down in that area, it should pop up for you to be able to advance.
I cannot
you
see.
might need to
Bottom
use
left corner.
your presentation screen.
Go to presentation screen, yes.
So not the one that's on the
right there at the bottom left. Oh.
There you go.
All right. Can you see it right now?
You just need to put it in presentation mode and then you'll be all set.
All right. So I'm now in presentation mode, but I cannot see myself.
Now on that bottom left corner.
Bottom left corner. Yes.
Right there. Yep.
All right. All right. Sounds good. Let let me see. But how I can see myself then? It's shouldn't let me see. All right. I'm sorry, folks, for that. All right, let's do this way. So today I'm going to talk about a smart transportation technology workshop. This project is led by Dr. Yang, Department Head of Computer Science, myself, and Dr. Wang. We are all faculty in the Department of Computer Science at Prairie View and M University. So the main goal of this project is to host a summer workshop among the HBCU community to discuss and address the emerging smart transportation technology and new demands, so we can attract minority students to study and work in transportation area. So this workshop or this project aims to explore and discuss the latest technology that has been used or can be used in transportation systems. And we invite students from PVAMU, from different disciplines related to computer science or computer engineering, or have some kind of programming skills that can be used in IoT and an AI domain to be applied in transportation domain. And we train the students with hands-on experience in smart transportation concepts and applications. So planned activities for this workshop. We first had to develop a workshop flyer, as you can see on the right-hand side here. This is a flyer has been developed for the first iteration of this workshop that held at Prairie View and M University in May 2024. So this 4-day workshop held at Prairie View aims to provide practical and hands-on experience to students in utilizing modern technologies such as IoT, AI, mobile app development in a smart transportation sector. To be eligible to participate in this workshop, students must be a U.S. citizen or permanent residents, and we targeted actually students major in a STEM-related discipline like computer science, computer engineering, or has some programming skills, so they can actually apply some experiments using Python and iOS and so on. We try to attract as many students as we can from HBCU's communities and of course from Prairie View. So we offer the participants to receive a total of $800 as a stipend, and also we cover the travel cost if they're coming from outside the greater Houston area up to $600. And we provided food, we provide accommodation. Students start early morning at 8 a.m. and then they had breakfast at the workshop, and then we had one session in the morning, and then we had lunch, and then we had afternoon another session. So we keep the students actually busy during various sessions, theoretical presentations, and hand-on experience. So after we distributed the flyer, that was sometime in February or March 2024, we try actually to spread it nationwide to all the HBCUs to attract more students to participate in this workshop. We developed various types of presentation talking about various technologies like IoT, AI, autonomous vehicles, and the current state of the art basically for technologies that can be implemented in transportation section. And we prepared some hand-on IoT experiments and mobile app development so students can have hand-on experience on these. Then we start to evaluate the application pool and send acceptance notifications to the successful applicants who actually participated in this workshop. We provided all the travel instructions, lodging, logistic arrangements to all the students, and we had the paperwork for receiving the participation benefits. We actually got a lot of help from our admin assistant, computer science, Sherma, and Insight Office as well, help to meet all the requirements, all the requests from students participating in this. So this is an overview about the application pool. We had 35 applications, but despite announcing clearly that students who are international students cannot apply for this, we got some of them as well. So 77% was U.S. citizen permanent residents. Majority of the students were Black or African American coming from HBCUs, and we had the right target for classification, junior and senior students 50-50 which was very nice to have students with some programming experience to participate in this workshop. In terms of the majority of the students came from computer science background, some of them coming from computer information system, computer engineering. Even we had some students coming from chemical, civil, biology, but we have minor computer science or computer engineering, and that was the target for our pool, right? For institutions, unfortunately, we didn't get a lot of applications from other HBCUs for different reasons. We try actually to overcome that challenge in the next iteration of this workshop in 2025. But we had one student from Blaine College, 3 students from Tuskegee University, and some other schools as well. So eventually, we set together the research team and selected 14 applicants to participate in this workshop that held in May 2024, including 2 students from Tuskegee University, which we paid their travel expenses, and we had to arrange all the accommodation for them, and they really enjoyed the workshop. So for day 1 for this workshop, I presented for 2 hours what are the main applications of IoT and AI in modern transportation, the role in transforming the transportation industry, offering innovative solutions to enhance efficiency, safety, and sustainability. And this is my research area, so it's really interesting to show some of my research to students and show them some real-world applications that can be done in transportation area, which really interests the students, and students feel really engaged. We had some kind of discussions. What do you think about the role of AI and IoT going to have in the future? And students were very innovative, just imagining what the role of technology. Can we have like smart parking? Can we have some kind of autonomous vehicles that can talk to each other, can avoid incidents on the road, can be able to have really electrical vehicles that can automatically be charged while on the roads and so on. All of these were really interesting discussions with these brilliant young men and ladies that participate in this workshop. For the afternoon for this workshop, for day 1, we had our IoT experiment 1. This was really, really interesting IoT experiments, where we provided a set of hardware and to the students, and then the students divided them into 3 teams, and then they sat together in my IoT lab in SR Collins, and then we provided all the hardware needed, we provided all the requirements for this workshop, and they built a Raspberry Pi line following robot programmed in Python. As you can see here on the right-hand side, this is a kind of robot that be able to follow a line drawn on a flat surface. And as you can see here, this robot actually mounted with so many hardware components, mounted with this infrared sensor that can detect a thin line drawn on the surface. It has a Raspberry Pi device where we can write a Python code on the Raspberry Pi, and then we have a power bank out there, and then we have batteries. So the batteries can feed into the motor, and motor can basically able to move this robot forward and can make turns, and then can follow this line with sharp turns and so on. With really interesting, students can sit together for 3 hours, build that from scratch, and students feel excited about that. In the second day in the morning, Dr. Wang gave a presentation to discuss the evolution of self-driving cars and provide students with insights into requirement for developing self-driving systems. Similar to the first day, students were very engaged. We engaged with them. We opened their imagination on a new areas where technology can really contribute so much for the future, especially in artificial intelligence in the domain of self-driving and autonomous cars. In second day afternoon, very similar to the first day, as you can see here on the right-hand side, we had a second experiment where students learned how to build an obstacle-avoiding robot that can detect obstacles and automatically change direction. But for this one, as you can see from the similarities of the 2 robots, they share the same hardware component. And that was actually deliberately planned because we need to have the same hardware being used for the 2 experiments, but they do very different things. So for this one, we use a different sensor. We use ultrasonic sensor. That sensor can basically detect if any obstacles are ahead of the robot, like 10 centimeters or 15 centimeters, they can change that using the Python code as well. And then once we have an obstacle, the robot can basically find that and then change direction and then go the other way. As you can see, the students really very excited by the end of the day having that robot built, and we helped the student, me and my RA, during this experiment to show the students how they can build this one. For the third day, that was a mobile app development day, where the research team actually presented a road incident app tailored for smart transportation grids, highlighting its potential impact on real-time traffic management. Students worked together to develop a GPS-based vehicle tracking prototype system and helped to test the newly developed road incidents reporting app. This is the app that Dr. Yang developed for this project. I'm going to talk more details about that later in this presentation. For the day 4, we asked the students actually to document everything they have did in the IoT experiment we had in the first 2 days, and capture videos, capture some photos of the progress they have made. And the students were really innovative in having highly engaging presentations, and then you present that in the morning of the 4th day, and then they actually were very, very enthusiastic presenting the presentations and get their achievement. To reward these students who really did a remarkable job here, we had a award ceremony in the afternoon of the 4th day, when we give students some certificates. We give them some gifts as well, like headphones, AirPods, and smartwatches for the students who really excelled in building these IoT prototype using AI technology and so on. So what are the transportation needs being addressed here? We address technology perspective, educational workforce development. For technology, we train the student with the emerging smart transportation technology using IoT and AI. And because AI really plays a significant role in transforming the transportation industry, offering innovative solutions to enhance efficiency, safety, and sustainability. For the educational and workforce development, we developed some course modules and materials that can be incorporated into existing classes to expose the students to smart transportation concepts. For the key innovation introduced, we trained the students with real-world IoT projects and mobile app development that can strengthen their hand-on skills. This will help the students to meet the latest transportation workshop requirement after graduation and will enrich the students' learning environment. We invited undergrad students from HBCU community to participate in a project-based IoT competition as well. These are the outcomes achieved to date. We successfully held the first iteration of this workshop. We collected feedback from students in this workshop. What are the lessons learned? What are the positive things that we have made? What are the weaknesses we need to address in the next iteration? And we developed the root instance report system, and we also developed course modules and materials that can be incorporated into existing classes. One of the key deliverables that can be used by stakeholders, this is the root instance report system, which Dr. Yang helped to develop as part of this project. This system allows submitting and visualizing real-time route instance reports, including route issues, aggressive driving, and route rages, where drivers can basically open the app and then can capture video, can capture photo that can be uploaded on the cloud. And then law enforcement personnel can later on can check all of these and can address all of these reports by the drivers. The students were handed a cell phone. So Dr. Yang distributed 14 iPhone 15 Pro to every student participating in this workshop, and then they be able actually to practice a little bit more mobile app development using a simple app and test this application as well. For the broader impact, we increase the research capabilities and promote research and learning experience for undergrad at Prairie View, foster the educational outreach to the HBCU community by participating in various educational extension activities. And really, one of the key results as well is that we can have materials right now that can be incorporated easily into computer science or computer engineering or some related discipline as well. This is our plans for the next iteration of the workshop, the second year, 2025. We're going to discuss and develop some new transportation technology related hand-on modules to facilitate the further summer workshop in 2025. We plan to add more modules related to AI and machine learning to the workshop, and reach out to more HBCUs to involve the students from there and accommodate their needs as well. All right, folks.
Thank you, Dr. Ahmed.
I will be happy to answer that.
Yeah, if you have any questions for Dr. Ahmed, if you can put them in the Q&A and he can answer them there, or we can, if we've got time, he'll answer them at the end. We need to move on to Dr. April Lovelady so she can join and get her presentation up and ready. Dr. April Lovelady is a control systems engineer with a passion for medical innovation. Early in her career, she worked for NASA, where she played a crucial role in capturing customer requirements and converting them into tangible products for the Space and Life Sciences program. She has since transitioned into academia, where she has designed and taught courses that focus on integrating the entrepreneurial mindset into the STEM curriculum through experiential and project-based learning. Dr. Lovelady's interest in entrepreneurship led her to engage with the NSF I-Course program, which focuses on the commercialization of academic research projects. As an I-Course participant, she gained a deep understanding of identifying value propositions and product market fit for medical devices. Her expertise in this area eventually led to her role as an adjunct I-Course instructor, where she provided coaching for medical technology teams. Driven by her passion for entrepreneurial pursuits, Dr. Lovelady also volunteers with the UT Hub program, which promotes opportunities for minority, women, and service-disabled veteran-owned businesses. Her dedication to the field of medical innovation and her commitment to integrating the entrepreneurial mindset into STEM curriculum continue to inspire and motivate others. It's all yours.
All right. Hi. Thank you, everybody, for your time. Let me share my screen here. Put this in presentation mode. Share. All right. Can you see that presentation?
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. So today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about a project that I'm working on with Dr. Benga Ojumu and also Philip Bouchard that's focused on the identification and elimination of barriers to technology transfer at HBCUs and MSIs. We quickly figured out that when we're talking about technology transfer at these specific institutions, that trying to drill down into only transportation-focused technologies was going to be very difficult, because the issues there with just the commercialization of their academic research is challenging. It's very big. And so, you know, when trying to drill down into transportation, we quickly realized that we should just focus on innovation in general. So, so far, we've talked to a number of schools, including the ones that you see here. Some of these are actually our consortium partners. And we wanted to kind of start with our consortium partners and include them as well in this research. But these are the schools that we've talked to here. We've talked to Rutgers and North Carolina A&T, UTEP, San Jose State. Of course, we've talked to faculty that work at Prairie View, and also administrators and faculty from the University of California, Irvine. During the course of these interviews and conversations, there were some themes that emerged around the commercialization of academic research, around the barriers and challenges of academic research commercialization, and also the support systems and initiatives. These are things that almost everyone mentioned during their interviews. And when we started talking about taking your research to market, everyone there sort of agreed that this is really important for institutional growth and development. They also agreed that having a good understanding of intellectual property and licensing and the development of partnerships is also important, but no one knows exactly. That seems very nebulous to them, right? They struggled with sort of pinpointing an exact way to do these things. Now, when you start drilling down into the unique challenges of minority serving institutions, you find that they have limited funding and resources, limited access to networks and partnerships. There are various administrative and bureaucratic hurdles. The awareness and visibility for support is sort of not there. And then also support for faculty and students is not there. However, even with all of that said, they understand that tech transfer is really important if they want to get their research into the hands of the public. And also it's really good for promoting economic development. So I'm going to drill down into these barriers and challenges just a little bit more. Of course, the lack of funding. Oftentimes, MSIs and HBCUs are focused, they're more so teaching intensive institutions. So sometimes there's a lack of research funding, and it can be difficult for them to sort of break into the research world because they have traditionally been teaching institutions. There's also time constraints. When you're a faculty member, and this is true of anyone, but especially true of MSI faculty members because of the limited resources, you are teaching, but you're also doing research and service. And oftentimes we have these additional administrative hats that we have to wear. And those administrative hats can take a lot of time. So there are these time constraints that we have, not to mention the fact that we don't necessarily have the same number of graduate students to begin with. So we can't just offload that research. Typically, the faculty are actually in the lab themselves, also while trying to prepare to teach, write publications, submit grant applications, and time just seems to shrink when you're at these HBCUs. There's also cultural challenges that you can run into. So oftentimes senior faculty are reluctant to engage in commercialization. They just want to, do their research and publish, publications, and that's it. And in addition to that, students have a preference for stable jobs over entrepreneurial ventures. When you think about the background of these students, oftentimes they're like, I just want to get somewhere, get to a point where I've got stable, steady income. And you're asking me to go on this risky ride, of entrepreneurship. And so these two, the faculty members and the students themselves, tend to shy away from commercialization. So I'll talk a little bit about the support systems and initiatives. So when we talk about funding initiatives, universities, some universities offer support for commercialization of academic research. This, again, doesn't always show up at HBCUs and MSIs, but you can go to some of the larger institutions and you can find that they may have support for your academic research. Now, when we talk about your educational efforts, the faculty have to be trained, as well as the students also have to be trained in entrepreneurship and commercialization. This isn't something that just sort of magically happens. Everybody shows up understanding innovation and commercialization. And I wish that the faculty and the students alike understood that we're all learning here, and we all need some sort of training. And so it would be a good idea if we could include maybe some type of entrepreneurship courses, training sessions, or mentor programs in the curriculum, and also provide those for the faculty. Oftentimes universities might offer workshops and mentorship programs, but again, when you have faculty who are not necessarily interested in commercialization, they tend to not show up. So even when we offer these support systems and initiatives, the culture of the faculty there and the students, they're not apt to actually participate. That's also because it's not, innovation and commercialization, patents, IP, none of those things, licensing, are really accounted for in the tenure and promotion package. So I think if we were to incorporate those into the tenure and promotion package, we would get more participants. With all that being said, it is possible to be successful, right? So Rutgers developed a saliva test for COVID, and it got FDA approval. And also NASA has been working with different institutions, Fayetteville and some other minority serving institutions, to commercialize some of the ideas that they have. And so what you see here in this picture is them working on the Mars Ingenuity helicopter in a space accelerator. An accelerator is something, if you've got this business idea and it's got good promise, then we can take a look at what needs to be done to accelerate you into the marketplace, to help you develop your business, build your business out, and accelerate you into the marketplace. There were other patterns that we noticed during these interviews, such as the importance of administrative and institutional support. Again, these support systems have to be there for the faculty and the students who are interested. Oftentimes what happens is because a lot of people are not interested, no one bothers to create these support systems. But there's going to be a few people who are interested, and when they show up and there's no support, then that can be very discouraging. The educational efforts and training is a necessity as well. Like, if we can sort of structure these programs to fit in with the schedules of the faculty and the students, I think we will see more participation there, as well as the collaboration and the networking. Oftentimes, academia can be siloed, right? But if we can sort of break down some of those silos between academia and the industry and industry partners, I think that we can create these valuable connections that are needed in order to commercialize these technologies. Relationships are very important, the relationships between students and faculty, because oftentimes, the students are the people who kind of do the legwork for the faculty, while the faculty are focused on their teaching. So building out that relationship is going to be very important. The relationship between faculty and institutional administration is also important, because there needs to be this dialogue between the two when you have a faculty member who is actually interested in innovation, and they should discuss how that innovation can impact the university. And then also from the institution to the industry, partnerships are absolutely necessary. No one's going to be able to do this alone. So HBCUs and MSIs have to begin to build out these industry partnerships through organizations like UIDP. UIDP actually exists to connect minority serving institutions with industry partners. And so if we fostered that relationship, then that will help us to build better industry partnerships. So with the interviews that we've conducted so far, we've kind of got two main hypotheses that have emerged. And the first one is that institutions with strong administrative support and clear processes have higher commercialization success rates. Again, no one's born knowing how to do this. So if we can provide some guidance for those who are interested, that actually increases the opportunity that we could be commercially successful with some of these endeavors. The second hypothesis is that education and time constraints are major barriers to commercialization. So if we can find a way to educate the faculty and the students on the innovation and entrepreneurial process while freeing them up, giving them some time to pursue these things, I think that we can begin to break down that barrier, and we'll see, again, more faculty who are interested in commercializing their technologies. With our program, we actually have some upcoming workshops coming in 2025. We will make sure that everyone here has dates. We would love for you to participate, because we actually want to take what we're learning from these interviews and incorporate it into workshops, so that we can begin to sort of dispel some of the cloudiness that surrounds the commercialization of academic technologies. And so with that, I'll take any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Dr. Lovelady. If you have any questions, again, please just put those in the Q&A. Next, we have Dr. Kamil Kaloush. Dr. Kamil Kaloush is a Florida professor of pavement engineering and the civil engineering program chair in the School of Sustainable Engineering and the Built Environment, affiliate faculty in the School of Sustainability, and co-founder of the National Center of Excellence on Smart Innovations at Arizona State University. He is a registered professional engineer and has over 40 years of industrial and academic experience. He received his PhD degree from ASU, MS, and BS degrees from The Ohio State University. His areas of expertise include modified pavement materials, thermal properties, advanced laboratory testing, field performance evaluation, and environmental impacts. His services cover a variety of industrial organizations, state governments, and organizations such as Transportation Research Board, International Road Federation, Arizona Council for Transportation Innovation, and National Council of Examiners for Engineering and Surveying. Recent patents / disclosures include nanostructured, I don't know if
We can skip.
What's that?
We can skip. That's okay.
Wax carrier for asphalt, a novel method to measure thermal conductivity of bituminous material, and aerogel modified bituminous materials. All yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Marshall. Do I still have the full time? I know we are running late here, but I'll try to do my best to kind of catch up as much as possible.
I think the next session starts at 2:40, so
okay.
I'll stick around if no one else will.
Yes, we'll probably start the next session around 2:45, just so we can wrap up some of these conversations. So take the floor, and then we'll have some questions at the end.
Thank you. Thank you. You can see my screen. It's my pleasure to present in this session. I'm not sure I'm the perfect fit in this particular session. I'm going to try to make it interesting. I'm going to talk about one of the Insight projects on climate resiliency and pavements that actually has a technology transfer component to it, startup company, stakeholders issue. So we'll see if I can make that connection there. Let's see. Here you go. So again, thanks for the organizing committee and the congratulations to all of you for this outstanding delivery of this conference. Virtual conferences are not that easy to do, but I think everybody has been doing an excellent job. Okay, these are not clicking as supposedly. Here we go. Let's do that. Again, it's been a great pleasure to be as part of this consortium. I want to take this opportunity to thank our associate director. I think she's in the other session, Professor Claudia Zapata, for keeping us all on track and the bi-weekly meetings. And she's truly bring excitement and positive energy to the group. And we can't skip any of those bi-weekly meetings as part of the group. Let me talk a little bit about temperatures extremes or climate resiliency. So when you talk about climate resiliency, temperature extremes are the main headlines usually that you see. And keeping historical records to support observations and trends. This is what you see on the left-hand side of the map of the United States. Again, that excessive amount of temperatures that we are seeing. And of course, it's very true for many regions around the world. Every summer, I hear the media talk about the heat island, especially in our area here in the Southwest, and it becomes more noticeable in urban areas. But again, it could be of a concern in other landscapes as well, too. The temperature extremes are also expanding the temperature fluctuations that we see in most areas. And this is actually, it's a devastating factor for our built infrastructure. In the lower figure, you see that on the right-hand side, you can see actually the daily temperature changes that can fluctuate on the average of about 15 degrees C, maybe up to 25 degrees C. This is about, 30 to 45 degrees Fahrenheit. And it happens through the day, but it also can happen through the whole year. Today here in Tempe, Arizona, 50 degrees Fahrenheit in the morning, we're reaching 84 degrees in the afternoon. So what does that mean for pavements, impacts on pavements? So the increase in temperatures and temperature fluctuation can generate this expansion-contraction mechanism, resulting in major thermal cracks. And that's what you see in that top figure on the left-hand side. These thermal cracks can take place in cold climate and hot climates. You just need that temperature fluctuation. And then in concrete pavements, we have these types of blow-ups that we have to also deal with these extreme temperatures. The high temperatures also will soften the asphalt and result in permanent deformation or what we call rutting in the top right-hand figure. So all of these pavements problems lead to a poor infrastructure condition. I think what the earlier presenter on the ASCE card, poor ratings, of course, and then costly bill for maintenance that is needed annually. So what's one of the transportation need questions we are trying to address in this Insight project? Well, can we actually help to reduce these devastating temperature impacts on pavements specifically, and maybe reduce even the heat island? So the figure on the right shows that the high pavement temperatures in the Phoenix area at nighttime, almost close to midnight, very high in temperatures that you can see very clearly all the hot paved surfaces. And these large yellow spots are actually the mountain ranges and the dense rock that is surrounding the area. In the middle blurb, there is the airport, also a massive amount of paved surfaces, asphalt and concrete, that also will create that heat bubble. So in our pavements and materials community, we've been evaluating existing materials or like polymers and additional materials to improve performance, but very few have been focusing on the root of the problem, and again, developing a new technology that can reduce the thermal susceptibility of these pavements. So what we are doing at the Insight Research Project here, we are building on earlier success that we had over the years. The idea is if we increase the porosity of the material, and in this case, we are talking about asphalt pavement, then we can reduce the temperature effects in a pavement structure. The concept of porosity can be realized just in an espresso cup of coffee. I'm not promoting the espresso machine here, but if you think about an espresso cup of coffee, you have that foam on top that it cools almost immediately despite the hot coffee at the bottom. And why is that? Because of that porosity of the foam. So we have been looking into a silica aerogel. It's a very lightweight material with extremely low thermal conductivity. Each particle has more than 99.8% air. So air is a great insulator, and you can see the microstructure in that figure. And then it actually can reduce the temperature fluctuation in pavements, especially when we add it to the top layer, as you see in this figure. So again, the temperature gradient from top to the bottom can be reduced by having that insulative layer on top. That delta T is what we are looking for in terms of getting the benefits. Of course, the development and deployment of this technology was not done overnight. We have done this over a period of 4 years. We do not have time to go through a lot of details, but basically, we had a great success in the lab, and you went to the field production, and we have a startup company with a technology that's supported by the university, and we're going for a technology transfer and implementation projects nationwide, basically. So we are ready to work with other institutions and industry partners for the use of this technology. We have talked with our Insight leadership, in particular Professor Judy, who is constantly encouraging the team to continue along a path of partnerships and technology transfer in this area. So what is, some of us will ask, okay, so what are we doing in this Insight project? So the current project actually is encouraging additional innovation. We are actually using now that aerogel product as a great insulator. We are adding another component to it because aerogel itself is not that flexible. So we're looking at adding crumb rubber, which provide flexibility, and using these combined two products into a next generation product that is really as part of this current Insight project. So we are using this innovative product to combine, the best properties we can have for pavements, therefore harnessing insulating properties of the aerogel and the ductility of the crumb rubber, which will lead to a much better performance. What we have achieved to date in this current project, identifying of a various different of sources of raw materials. Aerogels come with different gradation, different qualities. So we had to establish what is the minimum benchmarking we're looking for, and also look at the cost. Aerogel is not cheap. So we have to figure out a way how to make it cost effective. We developed a test that is actually what you see in this figure. It's a chamber that hosts samples that have been produced with different modifications. And we use that test to basically assess the susceptibility of that modified material or resistance to heat in that chamber. So this was developed. And then what you see here is an example of heating samples, crumb rubber, polymers, conventional. And yes, this is the aerogel rubber modified material. It's truly amazing to simply just visually see it. It's the last sample standing in the heating process. It's exactly what it's designed for, and that's what is being done. We are producing that. This is the product, what you see here, that is added to the asphalt binders or mixtures. What we call it is a recycled aerogel for construction materials or rack, and it can be used as additive for various products. We have been doing our due diligence in laboratory testing as part of this project. We don't have time to go through all of that, but we will be obviously documenting this later on in publications and reports produced through the Insight consortium. So currently, our research group is also performing asphalt mixture design. We're using 20% of this new product into the asphalt by weight of asphalt binder into the asphalt mixture. And we are going to be testing or determining the performance in the laboratory, trying to understand how does it compare to the other conventional materials. We are working with our stakeholders, in this case, our state DOT, Arizona DOT engineers, to see how best we can incorporate the use of these developed technologies in the current specifications and construction documents for an upcoming pilot project. And let's see, and then my final note here, 10 minutes and a half, basically regarding the broader impact of this Insight research study. One of the questions is, we believe it have really great social and business values. And the social, these modified materials, ours and others, can really help to save energy, reduce cooling and heating loads, and thus, of course, reduce the CO2 emissions. It will provide added value to our taxpayers, to the end users, societies. From a business point of view, these energy efficient materials really have huge markets. I mean, they can cater to many, many industries. And I just put some examples here. Our annual asphalt production is about $40 billion. The asphalt additives in general, polymers, rubber, fibers, and so forth, it's about $5 billion. So again, trying to capture some of that with these new technologies can be a good, successful business model. Roofing, 151 billion. Again, these products can go into roofing materials, insulating materials, even concrete blocks and bricks. So with that, some of you may have seen yesterday our undergraduate students, Matthew Manock. He did a great job. He had great experience working with us in the laboratory. We admire his dedication and the work ethics. I just want to introduce very quickly in the photos here other people who are involved in this. Doctors, Jose Medina, Jolina Karam, and Carlos Obando, who actually received the IRF Research Award last year here in Arizona. And actually, Professor Perkins was present. You see that in the top photo. We can also see, our outstanding research professor who helps in many aspects, Dr. Ramadan Salim, in that photo. So with that, thank you very much. I'm trying to see if I can, put us back on track, and I'll be happy to entertain any questions. And thank you very much for your attention. We can't hear you.
Mute.
Oh, okay.
Talking to myself. Thank you, Dr. Kaloush. I appreciate that. If anyone has any questions for any of the individuals that presented, feel free to put those in the Q&A, and we can get them to the individuals, and then we can have them email out answers. With that, I think that concludes this session, and we'll go back to the general forum.